21st century. Doing something mean to it. Do it better than anybody ever seen.
Dives inside and scores! Did he mean to do that? That was awesome. Under. Oh! Spectacular goal!
Man should have all that power. The clock's ticking. I
Put it on fire!
Oh my
He
God!
can't about to be stopped right now. Layup inside. He scores!
Yeah, well, you know, you're always looking at it from the perspective of your players, and because you're doing that, you're looking at it from a perspective of 4 years of players. You know, I think the guys that are juniors and seniors right now have had a pretty interesting last couple of years. You know, they're undefeated in 2009. They're 7-6 in 2010, and then make a run to the national championship game. And so they've had a pretty interesting path. You know, which go from 13-2 to 15-0 to 7-6. You know, but obviously, you know, each year is its own entity. So these guys have seen a lot in their time, and I think that experience is going to benefit us in 2011. Oh, yeah, John Kemp is you know, he looks so much like his brother some days, it's scary. He's terrific goalie, and he's going to do a great job for us. I don't have any question or any concern about that position for us whatsoever. Just like I didn't with Scott, we had watched Scott, we knew what we had in Scott. Honestly felt like, you know, 2 years ago or 3 years ago when we were watching practice, we said we may have the 2 best goalies in the country, and last year watching practice, there were days where we felt the same way. And so, you know, we have great confidence in John Kemp. It's not a position of concern for us at all. We had, coming out of fall last year, we had 3 starters, and 2 of those guys never played a minute for us last year, and because of injuries, and so, you know, obviously we were a good defensive team, and we get those 2 guys back, excuse me, to add to the mix for this year. There's no question that we're going to be a pretty good defensive team. I think we're well coached there, and we're disciplined and hardworking, and it's a focus of ours as a team. You know, when you're defining your team, you have to define, you know, it's a fluid game. It's not like you play platoon football and, you know, offense and defense, and so your defense can be good and your offense can be bad, and one doesn't affect the other so much, except during the, you know, the course of how much time they spend on the field or whatever. In lacrosse, you know, they both play into each other so much that your defense creates offensive opportunities, or, you know, doesn't. Your offense, you know, puts your defense in compromised positions or doesn't. And that's such a big part of how good you are at either end. Andrew Irving's a very creative guy, and he finds a lot of ways to do what he does as a long stick midi, you know, and he's a great ground ball player, maybe as good as I've been around. And again, it's partly his athleticism, it's partly his tenacity and his toughness, but it's also his creativity, and he has a different way of playing the game. You know, Sam and Kevin aren't going to impress anybody with the ball in their stick, but they're going to stop their guy from scoring, which is kind of the first job for a defenseman, and the thing that they both do very, very well. You know, they're not flashy. They don't really catch your eye unless you're looking at them to watch what they do, and if you watch what they do, they limit their guys' opportunities pretty effectively. And so, you know, we count a lot on those guys, not just on the ball but off the ball, to play, you know, to kind of quarterback what we're doing, and to make sure everybody's, you know, fulfilling the roles that they need to do, and they do that exceedingly well. Yeah, do I have to talk about that? I mean, we were terrible in the Big East last year, and you know, so we're licking our wounds in the Big East. We've got, you know, it's a great conference. It's a lot of good teams, and I think people, you know, are going to appreciate, you know, how good some of the teams in our conference are. I mean, you know, St. John's and Villanova, and, you know, teams that people aren't talking about in our league are very good teams. And then you've got, you know, Georgetown and Syracuse at the top of the league, and you know, we'd like to think that's where we're going to be too. You know, I mean, look, we're capable of beating any team in the country. It's that simple. What we have to do is do what we did last year and play those games at the end of the year in that way. I mean, if you look back at us in the tournament the last 3 or 4 years, we've been extremely unlucky. And, you know, last year, people could say we were lucky. But I'd like to think that we were really unlucky in the 3 years before that we didn't win more games and do more damage in the tournament. So maybe it all balances out, you know, but look, we had a good experience there last year. Our guys know what it takes to do that. Most important for us is that they come to work every day and we prepare ourselves. We'll worry about that taking care of itself in May.